With more space, sleeker styling and improved driving dynamics, Vauxhall's 6th generation Astra is more accomplished than ever before. Add in Vauxhall's usual vast range of engines and trim levels and you have a family hatchback that's now very difficult to ignore. Despite Vauxhall's best efforts over 30 years and 5 different generations, their Astra has rarely been the family hatchback its drivers would ideally have chosen to own. Not that it's ever been a bad car, just never a class-leading one. The kind of car you bought because it was good value, or more likely because you were given the keys by your company fleet manager. For the Mark VI model, greater efforts than ever before have been made to ensure that want one factor. It's bigger, sharper to drive and nicer to sit in, while sleek styling makes this one of the most attractive cars in its class. Whether it's also one of the very best may depend to some extent on your definition of the term. Manufacturers selling family hatchbacks of this kind are usually torn between trying to match the quality and comfort of a Volkswagen Golf and the sharp handling of a Ford Focus. Most end up with a compromise between the two that leaves these impressive class leaders untroubled. With this car, GM's designers claim to have done better. But have they? Let's find out. Back in the steam age, an inventor called James Watt, remember his name from school history lessons? He invented a linkage system designed to constrain the movement of a steam engine piston in a straight line. Over a century later, the engineers behind this Astra turned again to the same concept. When applied to the rear suspension of a car, this Watt's linkage system reduces sideways motion between the axle and the body of the car in such a way that's claimed to be more space efficient, lighter and more adjustable than the multi-link rear suspensions used in comparable Ford Focuses and Volkswagen Golfs. As to whether it all works, well, if you regularly corner your family hatchback on its door handles, you'll probably still find a Ford Focus to be the more engaging drive. As for the rest of us, well, we'll probably find this a really well-judged compromise that betters the Ford when it comes to ride comfort and is as good as anything else in the class, if not better, when it comes to handling. Both the dampers and the slightly vague electric power steering have apparently been tuned specifically for British roads. But if you'd like to do some additional fine-tuning of your own, there's the option of specifying this FlexRide adaptive suspension system that's fitted on plusher models like this one. It gives you the choice of driving in either normal, softer tour, or stiffer sport modes. In sport, you get a red glow around the dials to really get you in the mood. A slick gearbox and well-judged pedal weights also count in the plus column. Overall then, this Astra is a highly polished drive, which would all be pointless without an equally good showing under the bonnet. Now here, it's a case of knowing your engine. To be honest, the entry-level normally aspirated 1.4 and 1.6 litre petrol units are pretty unremarkable, but the 140 PS 1.4 litre turbo petrol engine is impressive, as is the 180 PS 1.6 litre petrol turbo. Diesel customers choose between 110 and 125 PS versions of the 1.7 litre CDTI power plant that I'm driving here. That's if they can't stretch to the flagship 160 PS 2 litre CDTI diesel. The fresh, contemporary, sculpted styling of this 6th generation Astra shrouds a body that's not only 43% stiffer than before, but also significantly bigger, a full 18 centimetres longer than its predecessor. Size matters in this sector, so does quality. In both these areas, this Astra really does have an advantage over its competitors, something you really appreciate from a seat inside. Let's find out why. Starting at the front, there's a dashboard here that disgraces that of some compact executive BMW 3 Series class cars. In fact, come to think of it, this is nicer than a base BMW 3 Series, and whoever would have thought we'd have been saying that about a humble Vauxhall Astra. At last, Volkswagen's Golf has met its match in terms of perceived quality, thanks to features like the elegance of the dashboard design and nice little touches like the chromed rings around the dials and the switches. Compared to some cars in this sector, a journey in this Astra is like being upgraded from economy to business class. Nor have I come across many other affordable family cars that better combine tactile quality with real usability. On one hand, you have delicate touches like the tiny red mood lights that you'll find under the front interior door handles or under the gear shifts around that throw a welcoming glow across the cabin at night. On the other, properly practical touches like the door bins in these front doors that'll hold a full 2-litre bottle of drink, or the false floor in this lidded cubby that will hide your iPod. As for that increase in size, well, you notice it most back here on the rear seat. A fully grown adult really can sit here in the middle for reasonably long periods alongside passengers who'll appreciate the fact that they can slide their feet properly under the seats in front. So yes, this really is a proper 5-seater in the way that many of its rivals simply aren't. Not such good news for Vauxhall is the fact that the improvement in cabin space is so significant that it virtually matches that of the brand's apparently bigger Insignia model. One reason for buying the larger car might be that its boot betters the Astra's 350-litre loading bay by 140 litres. But with the 60-40 split rear bench flattened, the Astra with 1,235 litres remains close to its larger stablemate. There's also a useful floating floor for separating your load. Now, list prices suggest that you're going to be paying somewhere from just under £16,000 to just under £24,000 for your Vauxhall Astra, with the diesel models that many customers will want priced at around the £18,000 mark. Now, Vauxhall has clearly pitched this pricing with one eye on the Ford Focus, and sure enough, most Astra variants are up to £300 cheaper than their Focus counterparts. Vauxhall needs to remember though that there are other cars in this segment, and there are other family hatchbacks that on the face of it would save you a significant amount. Vauxhall dealerships' willingness to sharpen their pencils though can make the difference much less than it might at first glance appear, allowing this Astra's superior quality to swing the sale. Mainstream Astra ownership is based around a choice of 3 or 5-door hatchbacks plus a 5-door estate. Engine-wise, you're not short of choice. Diesel customers generally choose between 110 and 125 PS versions of this 1.7-litre Ecotec CDTI diesel. That's if they can't stretch to the 160 PS 2-litre CDTI unit. Petrol-wise, you have a choice between 87 and 100 PS 1.4-litre power, a 115 PS 1.6, a 140 PS 1.4-litre turbo, and a potent 180 PS 1.6-litre turbo. Whichever version you choose, standard equipment includes front electric windows, air conditioning, and trendy daytime running lamps. Safety equipment runs to 6 airbags, ESP stability control to help you out if you enter a corner too fast or you're on a slippery road, and of course ABS. Plus there are anti-whiplash head restraints to protect your neck in a rear-end collision. Fuel economy for the 1.7-litre CDTI diesel that I'm driving here, it's the same no matter which of the 2 engine outputs you choose. Around 60 miles to the gallon on the combined cycle, which is going to make it a favourite with company drivers. The 2-litre CDTI is only fractionally thirstier at 57.6 miles to the gallon on the same cycle. And it's the same story with CO2 emissions, 124 grams per kilometre for the 1.7 CDTI and 129 grams per kilometre of CO2 for the 2-litre CDTI. You can get that figure down still further if you go for the EcoFlex Astra model, which achieves 109 grams per kilometre. Go for one of the petrol options and you're looking at achieving 51.4 miles to the gallon in the basic 1.4 or 44.8 miles to the gallon on the combined cycle in the entry-level 1.6, with respective CO2 emissions of either 129 or 147 grams per kilometre. Now, Vauxhall being a mainstream brand, the Astra won't return residuals that are as high as, say, a Volkswagen Golf, but it claws back some of that deficit in terms of a more affordable upfront price, more modest options costs, and cheaper servicing. Insurance groupings for mainstream models will tend to range between around 3 to 10. Bottom line, well, this Astra must be taken more seriously than ever before. It's good to drive and great to ride in, with a large, classy cabin that will sell this car to many, the standard having been raised far above what we've seen from Vauxhall in the past. Best of all, it's mainly British, built at Ellesmere Port near Liverpool, to a quality at least as high as the Japanese brands can manage. Now that alone might be enough to give this car a place on your family hatchback shortlist. Fortunately for Vauxhall, there are many others.